Okay, welcome then to this lesson on measuring bearings. This lesson is on measuring bearings between 0 degrees and 180 degrees. So just a definition you need to know first. A bearing is just an angle or direction which is always measured clockwise from a north line. All right, it's how sort of ships used to get around the oceans, for example, all right, by using angles and directions to give their bearings and their directions. Okay, so there'll be a lot going on in this video, equipment-wise, so bear with me. But I got an example here, okay? And if you want to follow along with this one, you can, because I'm asked to measure the bearing from point A to point B, and I've got it set up here, all right, on a bit of squared paper. So if you want to follow along, then you can see, let me get my ruler 2 seconds as well. I've got these 4 points here, okay? A is in the center roughly of the bit of paper. And then if you want to try and copy it along as you go along, point B is 6 centimeters to the right of A and 3 centimeters up if you want to follow along. All right. To measure the bearing from A to B, first things first, you need a north line because bearings are measured from north. Now, see, on a map, north is always straight up. So you want a nice straight north line at point A and label it N for north. Then just join point A to point B, all right, with a straight line. You can actually go past B if you want. It makes no difference. All right, so as long as you go through B, all right, that's what you're aiming for. Aiming to go through B. Right. Now I want to measure the angle clockwise from north. Now the clockwise angle is this one here. This way is clockwise. So I'm measuring this angle here, this angle here. Now, the mistake people make is that they put their protractor on A like this, which is obviously very wrong. Let me sort the light out a minute. Sorry about that. But the bearing starts from north. So your protractor needs to be like this. Send it on A with 0 pointing north because that's your starting value. Okay. And then if you look at this one, obviously the outside 0 is the one being used. So I'm following the outside scale around. And again, obviously the pens I use are quite thick here, so I don't get the best possible answer. But if you read around, I've got sort of just after 60 degrees. I would probably say I've got sort of 61 degrees. Okay, so if I just get my tablet here and change the screen just to here a minute, get rid of this and get a pen. So I said that the bearing was about 62 degrees. All right, now you can't really, if you wrote this down, you would not get full credit for it because there's a bit of a tweak with bearings. All right, because of the way they were used back in the day, like radios and stuff, to keep things accurate, they always had to be 3 digits. This bearing at the moment is only 2 digits. So if it's short of 1 or 2 digits, then you pad it out with leading zeros, they're called. So actually the bearing for this one would be 0.62 degrees. Some people say 0.62 degrees. All right, but the angle is 62 degrees, and I've had to pad it out. If, for example, you had a bearing like 7 degrees, all right, a single digit bearing, or maybe you had a bearing of, say, 6 degrees, you would have to pad that out with 2 leading zeros, all right, to make it 3 digits overall. So a bearing has to be 3 digits. Okay, so that's the first example. And then if I go back to the camera, hopefully this will work now. It has. Yeah, the next example, look, was to go from A to C. All right, so in terms of positioning, if you want to follow along, C is 2 centimeters to the right of A, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares down. All right, so it's 2 right and 5 down. Again, luckily for us, the north line's already done for us. So just join it to C. All right, remember you can go through it if you want. And this time the angle is slightly bigger, isn't it? it's this entire clockwise angle here. All right. But again, same thing. Put it on A, the correct way up, nice and centered. And again, follow the outside scale around. Okay, try and get rid of the light a bit, is it? There you go. Follow the outside scale around. Oh, I got like 155. I got about 157 degrees. Okay, so for this one, I would say that the bearing from A to C is about 157 degrees. Now, because this one is already 3 digits, there's no need to pad it out at all, okay? It is 157 degrees, okay? And the last example, be careful with this one. It says measure the bearing of A from D, all right? If you're not reading this question properly, you'll get it wrong. See, this one is the bearing of A from D. All right, I'm starting this one from D. Okay, the from is important here. I'm starting from D. So this time round, here's point D. You'll need a north line at point D, because this one is from point D. So I draw my north line here, and I'm going to A. So here I go. I will stop just at A this time because that line is long enough, and I want this clockwise angle here. So protractor, nice and centered. Okay, follow the outside scale around. I got 100, past 100, 105, 6, 7. Oh, I don't know. I got about 108 degrees, give or take. Okay, so this one, the bearing is 108 degrees. Again, it's already 3 digits, so no need to pad it. All right, and that's how you measure bearings. Okay, clockwise from north, and you really can't go wrong. So just a quick checking question then. Measure the bearing of G from H. All right, and I've got a diagram already for this one. Here we go. So measure the bearing of G from H. So I'm starting from H. All right, so my north line can go at H. And I'll join it to point G, like this. And remember, a bearing has to go clockwise. All right, so I have to go this way. You have to clockwise. All right, and I've got to measure this larger and my obtuse angle. So 2 ways to do it. All right, I'll show you my way, and then we can discuss another way at the end. So I still always go clockwise to remind me that bearings are going clockwise. That's what you're supposed to do, okay? And if you follow this number, the numbers around the outside scale, you can see that I run out of protractor. I get to 180 degrees, which is south. Then I can't go any further, can I? So the trick is to I tend to do this. Draw a dashed line down, remind me I've hit south. And then just measure the extra piece. Okay, turn the protractor around. Again, let's see, so I'm starting from 0 again, and I'm working out the extra bit. All right, so if I go around the outside again, I've got an extra 60 degrees. Let's double check, actually. That was a bit quick, wasn't it? Yeah, see, around the outside, an extra 60 degrees. So this is 180 degrees, and this is 60 degrees. So I hope you see that to get the total bearing, you would just do 180 degrees plus 60 degrees, which is obviously 240 degrees. And that trick will always work for a bearing that goes past south. Now, obviously, another way you could have done it would have been to measure this bit here, all right, and then subtracted it from 360 degrees. You get the same answer, all right? But I think this way, the first way we did it, is a bit purer and reminds you that bearings always go clockwise from north. Okay, so the answer to this question here was 240 degrees. And again, because it's 3 digits, no padding required at all. Okay, and that's bearings. In the follow-up video, we'll practice more on measuring bearings that go past 180 degrees. Well, you're all done. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. See you soon. Nice.